Here, I'll show you how to check multiple conditions in Excel, and we're largely going to be using the AND and the OR logical functions, which are simple but can be quite powerful when used the right way. So I'll show you a few pretty cool little tricks to do with those guys. And then we'll also combine these with an if statement and a not function towards the end. Before we start, check the video description and click the link to Teach Excel so you can download the files for the tutorial and follow along. And make sure to subscribe and accept notifications so you can see all the new tutorials. Alright, so checking multiple conditions means I want to know if something is true or false. Is it bigger than this number, smaller than this number? Is it this text or not this text? So let's go with very basic examples to begin with, okay? These are values, just hard-coded values. These are hard-coded dates. And here we're going to do some simple checks. So let's begin with very, very simple checks without an and or an or, okay? So a lot of you know that you can do an if statement, and you can write out the if statement equals if, do my logical test here, output true, output false, do whatever I want. But you don't have to go through all the effort of an if statement. An if statement, though, might have been the first thing you learned, is not the easiest way to do it. If I want to check if this is greater than 5, I just equal sign, select the cell, greater than 5. That's it. If I want to see if this is not equal to 10, there we go, B2, a less than sign, greater than sign, 10. So all you have to do to perform a test that will output a true or a false, a logical value, is equal sign, which is what you need for a formula, and then one cell, one value, one range reference, one something, then a comparison operator, greater than, less than, equal to, not equal to, and the not equal to one is the only one that most people forget. So less than or greater than means not equal to. And of course, I forgot to mention you can also do greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So if we did 10, that would evaluate to true. So it's that's how you do a very basic logic test. Let's us up our game now, because that's one condition. So let's go down here. Now let's go with the AND function. The AND function, let's see what Excel says about it. Checks whether all arguments are true and returns true if all arguments are true. Okay, couldn't say it better myself. So you can also use it with one test if you want. You can have as many logical tests as you want in here. So the very basic test that we did up here in cell C2, you can do in here in C3 just like this. So if you want to have the function but you only have one test right now, just go ahead and pop it in there like this, and then later when you want to, you can put additional logical tests in there. And it is exactly the same for the OR function, just the OR right there. And let's look at their description. Checks whether any of the arguments are true. So any, whereas and checks if all are true. So checks whether any of the arguments are true and returns true or false. Returns false only if all arguments are false. So I prefer to say it the other way. The OR function will return true if any of the arguments within it, the logical tests, return true. And just like with the AND function, you can have as little as one logical test or many logical tests. So let's go for some multiple tests. So here for the AND, we have a little check, equals AND. I want to see if A4 is greater than 100. So A4, is it greater than 100? That's our first test. It will evaluate to true or false. And then I want to see if B4 is equal to blue. So there's a little comma that separates both of them, and we can, if we select it and hit F9, see that this evaluates to false. And if I select this and hit F9, it just evaluates it, evaluates the part of the formula that you selected. F9, this evaluates to true. So we have one false and we have one true, which means it's going to return false. Let me hit escape. If you hit enter now, by the way, after doing F9, it'll save the text false and true in here like this, or the values. So just hit escape to kill it. Now it's back to how it was. Perfect. So with OR, I believe I've done the exact same formula. Yes, exact same formula. But this time just replaced the AND with the OR. And it returns true because, as you saw, one of these evaluates to true. So here you can see the difference where an AND function versus an OR function will return different values. Now also note that you can check dates. So down here I'm checking a date. So here in the AND function, I want to see if A5 is greater than B5. Now, how does that work? If you don't know much about dates, I'm going to do a real quick little thing for you right here. Select the dates. If they are formatted as a date, you'll see in the Home tab says Date. Then go and select General. Oh, we have numbers. So that makes comparisons, logical tests, very, very easy because the Excel brain is just comparing numbers. So that's why we can very easily compare numbers and time. So we have a nice simple logical test. It's A5 greater than B5, false. And now what I did here is I wanted to show you that you can nest the functions. So for this test right here, I've got, so there was a comparison. Let me hit Control Z. Here was a comparison, not just a cell reference. And then here is a function and another function, and then testing it against 2018. So I wanted to get the current year. So what I did is I got today's date, which is a number, because remember that's how Excel sees dates, 43,724. And we use the year function to get a year out of that, which is 2019. Is 2019 greater than 2018? Yes, it is. So you can start to see now that the AND and the OR functions, these are as well the same. The AND and the OR functions allow you to do some pretty powerful things. You can start to see how that's evolving now, not just a simple check if there's text in the cell or not. Okay, let's take a look at the last simple example. Here I'm introducing you to some other functions so you can just kind of get comfortable with them and a third logical test. So isNumber is just going to check if the cell contains a number or not, and it's going to return a true or a false. You have a lot of these neat little logical functions that return true or false. So if I pull out isNumber here and go isNumber, here, enter, true. So you can see we're stacking now logical arguments within logical arguments. And if we put all of these within an if, or I mean logical functions, and if we put all of these within an if function, it'd be one more logical step, one more logical function. So you can just keep going and going and going, as long as you don't confuse yourself too much. OR function, same thing as the AND one, just to show you the difference in the result. And so yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. So let's move on. Now that you know, we can do all sorts of cool stuff. Actually, I want to come back to the conditional formatting because I do rather like this example. So let's do the data validation example first. Data validation is how you can control what a user enters into a cell. And with the data validation rule, what you always want to do is to create the rule in the worksheet first. And the rule must always return true or false. True, the user can input this. False, the user cannot input this. So let's go ahead and clear this. Let us go ahead and create a fun little data validation thing here. What we're going to do, let's create it in pieces. The first one is I want to see if the first letter is going to be an A. So left and text will be this cell. Number of characters doesn't matter. It's always going to pull one out when we do it like this. Now I want to check if it equals A. The logical comparison operator equal sign. And then, wrong quotation mark, there we go, A. So let false, because it does not equal A, let's type ASDF. Perfect. Now what I want to do is show you how this works. So let's evaluate this, F9, A. Now does A equal A? F9 again, true. So there we made just a quick little logical test. Put the equal sign on the outside of the function. Seems as though a lot of people don't realize that you can do that. So you could just leave it like this for the data validation. That's kind of an interesting little example. Just equals left A17 equals A. It'll always return true or false because we're making a logical comparison. Now, let's go over here. Let's do another one. Let's say equals mid. And this time what I want to do is see if the second letter is B or not. Where do I want to start? 2. How many characters do I want to get? 1. So we get S because that's the second character and it's 1 character in length. If I put 2, it would be 2 characters long. We'd get SD, just like that. Okay, so now I want to see if this one equals B. And the answer is false. But now what I want to do is combine both of these in an OR function. So let me copy the first one. Equals, or paste you in there, hit enter. Now I'm going to grab you, paste you in here, hit enter. Now, or before that, or, so only one has to be true for it to evaluate to true. So either the first character is going to be an A or the second character is going to be a B. So or is going to be true. However, what if I do tree? Everything's false. What if I do CBA? True. So now for the data validation, we copy this guy here. Let's go here, go to the data tab. Where's that guy? Tiny little button now. Data validation, or Alt-DL on the keyboard. Under allow, go to custom. In formula, let's paste in the formula. Always create your data validation and your conditional formatting formulas in the worksheet before you paste them in the window. Trust me. Just do it once where you try and build it in here. You'll never do it again. Hit OK. All right, so let's try and enter red. Error. Can't do that. Retry. ABC. Yay! And you can see that all of these are true now. So for testing purposes, we're going to leave in the true-false formulas here. Obviously, in a production environment, take them out. So let's see, GBE, perfect, ATR, perfect. So I'll leave in ABC. And now let's go with the if statement. I've decided I'm going to save this dude for the end because it's kind of just a neat little trick. Now let's go with the if statement. So one of the things with if statements are that it's very easy to nest them. Because like I said, it seems to be the first function that everybody learns, so we nest them. So I want to check if this is 10 or blue or, well, I don't remember. What did I want to check? Okay, I want to check if it's greater than 5 or blue. So let's write it out how most people will do that. So equals if this guy is greater than 5. Now what do I want to do? Let's make sure that B21 is also blue. So if B21 equals blue, so if A21 is greater than 5, B21 is blue, yay, good. Otherwise, bad. Close up the second interior if function. And now we do the last one. So one more, bad. Close parentheses. Okay, yay. Look at that. Oh, it's just such a waste of time. Okay. So here we want to check if two conditions are good or bad. Let us do this with our trusty AND function. So if and this greater than 5, this equals blue. Close the AND. Now good. Now bad. Look at that. How much easier is that to read, follow, and understand? 2 outputs, that's all, good or bad. You don't have 3 outputs like you have in the nested one. There's not 2 if statements. You're not jumping back and forth between the logic. Very simple, and very simple to understand. Now, after all these examples, both must be true for and to return true. Once and returns true, then the if statement, the if function, can use that to figure out if it needs to go here or here. So and or functions. Of course, you can use the or function the same way. So it really is going to make your if statements a lot more powerful. And now, before I get on the fun conditional formatting example, let's talk about not. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much in depth with not here. I just wanted to include it because it's kind of cool. So not negates. It's going to change the result of whatever you have. So here I have a very simple test. Is this greater than 5? Well, the answer is yes, until I surround it with not. Once I surround it with not, it becomes false. So all it does is it turns a true into a false, or a false into a true. Now, it's not going to be really clear right here why this would be useful, but once you get into much more complicated examples or very specific or complex data validation or conditional formatting or if statements, or there's so many other things that you can do where you might just need to reverse the result. And so it's a cool little thing to have in your back pocket. And of course, we can get more complicated. It doesn't matter. Anything you want to put inside here, just put it all in there. So create the formula first, then you just surround it with not. It is easy peasy. All right, now let's do the data validation example. Okay, or the conditional formatting one. So conditional formatting is really, really cool. If you don't know what it is, it allows the cells to change color based on what's happening in the spreadsheet. So let's first, just like with data validation, you want to create the formula right here. And we're going to create a really, really cool formula. All right, so we start out very, very simple. I want to see if this right here is greater than 10. Nope, it is not greater than 10. Okay, so once we put this in for conditional formatting, nothing would happen. It returns false. But now, let's do another cool thing. Let's say I only want conditional formatting to appear when this says on. So it allows you to control if you even want conditional formatting at all. So when you want it to appear, it allows the checks to be performed and the colors to appear as needed or as desired. So this simple little dude right here goes from this to, let's copy him and bring him over here, equals and. So we want two conditions to be true. So here comes the and. I want this to be equal to on, and I want to make sure this is greater than 10. All right, let's see. False. So still, the conditional formatting would not be able to be applied. But let's say that I want one more step, one more switch that overrides everything. Here's our little override cell. So now, in addition to and, we require an or. So equals or. If this guy equals override, or, and this cell equals on over here, and this is greater than 10. So now let's see if we get a true, and we get a true. So that is how you go from something very simple to something that at least appears to be rather complex, but has allowed us to create pretty cool conditional formatting. So the conditional formatting, the formatting is no longer just conditional on what's entered into this cell, the cell that's going to be formatted, but also on other cells that we can control within the spreadsheet. And trust me, it allows you to do some really cool things with conditional formatting that it will wow your coworkers if you really want to. But before we can make this work for all of the other cells, you need to remember for conditional formatting to apply to multiple cells, have the absolute or relative cell references done correctly. If we copy this down right here, let's do it right now, you will notice the cell references are all mucked up. Mucked with an M, by the way. So this is here when it should be up there. So we need to go ahead and select this anywhere in it and hit F4. Put the dollar signs in front of it, means the cell reference will not change. Do the same over here. Copy it down. It's perfect. Everything is good. We are happy. So now let us go ahead and apply the conditional formatting. We will select the working formula from the top cell. And we did not do dollar signs in front of A11 because we want that to change with the cell because that's the cell that's going to be formatted. Now we go here, select the cells, Home tab, conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula to determine which cells to format. Paste it in there. Remember, do not create the formula in here. It will almost never work. Fill, let's make you a, I don't know, boring blue. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and delete this and delete this. All right, so we have no conditional formatting now. Now let's turn the conditional formatting on. Bam! Now our rules are applying correctly how we want them to apply, only if it's greater than 10. But now I want everything to light up. Awesome. And that's how you can use the and the or function to check multiple conditions. No if statements in there, nothing like that. And in checking these multiple conditions, we have made a pretty darn cool little conditional formatting setup right here. And that's the power of using these seemingly simple logical functions and putting them together to build something that can be quite powerful in Excel. So that's all for this tutorial, and I hope you learned a lot. I hope you liked the tutorial. If it was helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe and accept notifications so you can see all the new tutorials.